Did I hear a rumour about if you guys get European football, will you need to rent a certain stadium to be able to play the fixture? Have I heard this right? Alright, hello and welcome to the MatchDayVlogs channel. We're here, of course, for another opposition preview for Saturday's game. It is Southampton versus high-flying Bournemouth. And I have the good pleasure, can I say pleasure? We're fierce rivals, but I tell Tom I tried. I've tried. I can't do it. I have the good pleasure of being joined by Sam Davis of Back of the Net podcast. How are we doing? Keeping well?
Very well. Pleasure to always be invited onto this great channel. And yeah, doing well on the pitch, off the pitch. Everything's all good. Life is good. And we'll chat about the fiercest South Coast rivalry there's ever been.
Ever been. You can't see it, but there is security in each of our rooms just keeping us at bay. But anyway, we'll get into let's get rid of all this silliness. So Bournemouth currently sitting 7th in the league. What is the goal now for the season? Is there a certain expectation that European football is going to happen, and really just depending on which competition you're in? What is the average feeling for Bournemouth fans out there?
It is really bizarre because under Andoni Iraola's first season, he broke a record in that we got the highest amount of Premier League points on 48. So we were 46 previously under Eddie Howe. So that was good, and that was a fairly underwhelming start to the season. But this season we've hit the ground running, and we're purring at the moment. And I think a lot of us just thought if we can push top 10, that would be great, or just an improvement on the trajectory that we were on last season. But we've done that from the very beginning, and now we're looking up rather than over our shoulder, which is great, and currently sat in 7th place. With the amount of games we've got to go, I think it would be wrong of us to not have dreams and hope for European football. So I think European football is the aim. We're currently in the FA Cup as well, so that gives us another chance if we can somehow get to the final, because we haven't been to Wembley since 1998, and that was the old Wembley. But the league form at the moment has been absolutely superb, and on paper, and I hate saying this because there have been so many matches on paper that we look as though we should win and then we don't, and then the other way round happens when we play some of the big teams. On paper, we've got a relatively good set of fixtures ahead of us, so we've got to be looking up. And if we can get a European spot, whichever tournament it would be in, I don't care. Champions League, that would be fine if we have to, but that would be tremendous for the size of this club to be doing that so early on. I think our owner had a 5-year plan. And we're ahead of schedule for that, so that would be amazing if we could do that.
You bring up the FA Cup, and actually we've just come off the FA Cup fixtures over the weekend, and you have to be looking at that competition, looking at the clubs that are still in it. I mean, I saw the pundits talking about, who are the favourites now, and that names like Newcastle and Aston Villa came up, and I was amazed, to be quite honest with you, that no one was mentioning your names. I mean, are you quietly hoping for a bit of silverware in that competition?
I think so. I think at the moment we are 5th favourites for the competition. Of course, you've got your Man Cities, Aston Villa ahead of us, Newcastle. Man United, I find that a bit strange because they've been pretty poor of late, and we won convincingly at their place. But I suppose it's the stature of the club, the fact that they're also the FA Cup holders at the moment. I'm sure that has some bearing on it. But yeah, I myself think it's a great chance, and it would all hinge on who we drew in the next round. And we've got Wolverhampton Wanderers at home, so they've got their own issues possibly to deal with. I know the match will be at the start of March, but we're hoping that they'll still be in a relegation dogfight. I think there's just 2 points in it at the moment, so if they are still in that, then the cup will be the least of their priorities, and therefore they might put out an understrength side or do some rotation that enables us to have a good go, because then we are just 90 minutes away from Wembley. We've been to that stage once before. We played some team from down the road during COVID called Saints, and you battered us at home. and that was us 90 minutes from Wembley at that point. So to have that opportunity again would be great. It's just the luck of the draw, because there are certain teams we wouldn't want to face. I know we went up to Newcastle and beat them convincingly recently, but I'd hate a trip up there because I sense it would be an angry Magpies that would be facing us.
Right.
Manchester City, you never want to face them as well. So if we get some good fortune in the draw, then who knows? It could be a great chance to get to Wembley. And once we're at Wembley, anything can happen. So that would be a great route in. But we're going well in the FA Cup and also the league as well.
Your manager got Manager of the Month, didn't he?
Yes, manager of the month for January. We got goal of the month for David Brooks scoring against Everton, and player of the month for Justin Kluivert scoring a number of goals. So yeah, 3 trophies. We didn't get save of the month though, annoyingly. So
Okay.
we didn't get all 4. Not the quadruple this time.
Just talking about your manager, I mean, obviously he's done incredibly well. He's playing sort of a new style of football that the league hasn't yet seen before. Is there any kind of ultimately every time, I just think back to the Poch days, and every time a Tottenham manager got sacked, or the Chelsea manager got sacked, you always kind of like looking around thinking like, oh, is it now? Is there that feeling amongst Bournemouth fans that something like that could happen and it could horribly unravel? Sorry to bring this up, Sam. I can see it's a painful, but I'm here to dig. That's what I do. But do you feel relatively secure with the project that's going forward? The European football, there's funds there to spend. Is there enough of a lure for Iraola to stick with you guys?
I think so. I think the fact that we're mid-project in terms of a brand new training ground, which has got a very similar geographical footprint to Staplewood. I think I've said that before in terms of the amount of size of it and the amount of pitches and the dome that we've got. And this is something that Bournemouth have never seen previously. So it just means we're going to be a really good opportunity for young kids in the area and, out of the area to then train and, develop their skills at a really good training base, which is going to be ready very soon. And that hopefully paves the way for a new stadium or redevelopment of the current one, which is obviously needed because we're the butt of many Premier League fans' jokes talking about the 11,379 seats that we've got.
Don't forget those 79.
Don't forget those 79. I mean, they're probably media seats anyway, but who knows? But yeah, things are good, and I think because we're part of a project, it means that he's got something that he can sort of look forward to in the immediate future, because the training ground will be open in April. But the problem is, the vultures will start circling, and unfortunately in football, not all 20 teams can be brilliant at once, which means that there's always going to be a number of managers, sometimes high-profile clubs like there are this season. Ange Postecoglou's under pressure. There are others. Man United's manager as well, where they might start to look at people like Iraola. They'll look at our players, I'm sure, but they'll also look at Iraola, who has, you're right, he has kind of mixed it up with a brand new style. I think he's got another year left on his contract after this season. He's only ever had short-term contracts, which is something that we can understand. I think if we manage to get him for another contract extension for another year after that, it would be brilliant. I've heard that he's trying to find his kids a school in the area, which if that's the case, that's
good. Has he bought property? Has he bought a nice house?
I'm not sure about that actually. Good.
Moving in next
point.
to the Redknaps? No.
I'll have to get onto Rightmove and have a look and see if there's any info on Zoopla about it. I don't know. But
you're going to send him some locations. Go, have a look at this on this.
yeah, lovely 2 up 2 down here. I think that he's invested into what we got. I think, judging by his managerial trajectory, he's always liked being at a club where he can exceed expectations. Before that, he was at Rayo Vallecano, which was a very small club, a similar size to us. And I think he likes the smallness of what we've got. So I don't see him moving on. I don't want to say at the end of this season because there will be interest. He'll certainly not go now until the end of the season. Yeah. I've got a feeling there'll be a minimum another season after that, and then maybe there will be some solid interest here. I think, unfortunately for us, he's shown that he is relentless with his success, and that's the thing that may kind of prick the ears up of chairman and recruitment people from other Premier League clubs. But not only that, but also abroad as well, because I think he's from the Basque Country. He would probably eventually like to go back to Spain, I'm guessing, and there could be some clubs circling there. Even his name's been mentioned in Real Madrid conversations as well, which is absolutely bizarre. But we need to keep him. We need to keep him because we understand that both with players and management, the conveyor belt is moving faster than ever in terms of they come in the club, they come out the club. No one joins AFC Bournemouth to stay there. As much as, we want every player to be a Steve Fletcher and be there for 60 years or so. That doesn't happen anymore. So we need to be really good with our recruitment. On the pitch, it's shown we have been quite, we've been very adept with that. and hopefully they've got a manager lined up for if and when that situation happens. And I believe that we're in a really good place recruitment wise. So yeah, long may it continue. But yeah, we need to keep Iraola for as long as possible.
Yeah. Well, also talking about recruitment, I mean, one thing as a Southampton fan, looking in, we've seen our club supposedly not recruit well, and the line has been, okay, you need to buy Premier League proven players. You guys haven't done that either, but you seem to have been able to pull players from the Championship and turn them into absolute superstars. I mean, talking about Semenyo, talking about pulling players from the Italian leagues and the Spanish leagues and the Dutch leagues, and somehow turn them into absolute world beaters. I mean, is that down to the Iraola? Is it down to the system? Are you just got a really good recruitment team? Should I be sending in their CVs to my club at the moment? What should we do, or what's it been down to?
I think the recruitment team's been really, really good over the years. I think Eddie Howe had a big hand in it when he was at the club. I mean, I think part of Eddie's downfall, he had a massive success, but obviously we got relegated in the 2019-2020 season. I think part of the downfall was because Eddie Howe had a finger in every pie in terms of being involved mentally with every department at the football club. He would know the person who stacked the shelves at the club shop personally. He would form personal relationships. And I think when the team started to play bad, all these things started to weigh on his mind a little bit, thinking, no way, I'm going to let this guy down. I'm going to let him down. I'm going to let her down. And I think once we did get relegated, he just needed a break and just needed to go away. But he was a big part of our recruitment, and him and Richard Hughes, who was our director of football, who's now been headhunted by Liverpool, so he's been there for a year or so. They had a really good connection and managed to sign some really good players. Most of them were kind of young, British like stars. But these days, I think we've kind of Richard Hughes has moved on. Simon Francis, our former right back, he's now one of the main guys in recruitment, alongside Thiago Pinto, that was involved with Roma previously, got lots of experience in Europe, and I think together they formed a really good partnership. We've got a really good scouting network, and we've managed to identify, through Iraola being part of that conversation, the exact profile of player that we need. I think under Gary O'Neill and Scott Parker, we were a bit identityless. So we didn't know the kind of like physical profile and attributes that players needed. But now we've got a system which we know perfectly. We play 4-2-3-1. We know that the right back has to do this. We know that the double pivot, one of the players has to do this. The right winger needs to do this. So like the number 10 needs to perform these duties. So we know exactly what we want. And through our scouting network, we have managed to identify players that have been not necessarily players to hit the ground running, but can kind of blossom in a couple of years' time. Now, Dean Howson is one of them, but due to injury for Marcus Senesi, he's had to go straight in, but he's been brilliant for us, and now he's being linked with big clubs all around Europe as well. So I think it's a mixture of two. I think, Iraola having a style makes it easy to then try to get players in for. So, but credit to Richard Hughes made some good signings for us. There were some that were not so good, but through Francis and Thiago Pinto at the moment, they seem to be really astute. And I think the threshold of the quality of signing that they're trying to get, given this conveyor belt's moving faster than ever, it puts more pressure on them. Therefore, they need to make sure that the quality that they get is, tip top. We used to blow a fair bit of money on players that didn't work. Jordan Ibe, I know he had mental health problems, but we spent 15 million on him. Yeah. Brad Smith, we signed from Liverpool, 6 million, and there are others that I could reel off that it's just a waste of money. I think we're in a position where we don't want to be doing that anymore.
No, they certainly are quite costly, especially in the world of FFP and all that kind of stuff. Before we get on to Saturday's game and your predictions for it, did I hear a rumour about, if you guys get European football, I think it's get to when now, if I'm completely honest with myself, will you need to rent a certain stadium to be able to play the fixture? Have I heard this right? Is that true? There've
been certain things flying around. I think in one of the competitions, it sounds like you're not allowed to have any temporary stands. Now, we've got 3 stands that can stand the test of time, but if there's a hurricane down south, our Ted McDougall stand may not be there for too much longer because it's basically scaffolding. I don't think it counts as a permanent stand, so therefore that would severely reduce our capacity. But the minimum capacity you do need, I think, is 8,000, which we would have even
Right.
without that stand. I'm not completely sure on the rules and regs, but hey, if we have to go up the road to St Mary's, that's what's going to happen. But no, I think we would be okay. But alas, the clamour for tickets would be huge, and there would be a lot of disappointed fans that would be missing out because it sounds like we might have to have a reduced capacity. But I'm not completely sure of all of the rules and regs on that.
We'll give you a really good deal. Make sure that you get some of the ticket revenue. It's fine. It's fine. We'll have a word. Okay, right. Looking ahead to Saturday's game. Last time we played each other, you actually predicted the score bang on last time. I think you said 3-1. And it was, of course, 3-1. Firstly, how do you see this game going? Are there any injury worries for you? Is there any particular players that we should be looking out for? How do you see Saturday's game going?
Are there any injury worries? I thought this was going to be a 20-minute show, Mike. I mean, if it has to be 2 hours, not a problem at all. I mean, yeah, we are plagued by injuries at the moment, but they are slowly coming back, which is really good for us because we've had a bit of a nightmare on the injury front over the last number of games. At the moment, on the injury table, striker Enisu now, Evan Nilsson, defender Marcus Senesi, Adam Smith, Julian Araujo. Midfield maestro Alex Scott, winger Luis Sinisterra, also James Hill, our right back, and Julio Soler, that's not injured but he's out with Argentina in their youngsters playing in the under-20s World Cup or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but so we've got a few out.
Okay.
But players that we have got have really stepped up, and there are going to be some players that will be coming back through very, very soon. I think Sinisterra is close, and Alex Scott as well. They've been pictured on the grass, which is good. So that means they're coming back into the fray. I think a lot of Bournemouth fans were concerned with the lack of strikers that we've got because we haven't really got one at the moment. We've got a right winger in Dango Ouattara having to fill in up front. He scored a hat-trick against Forest, so thankfully that worked. We've got Lewis Cook in centre midfield playing right back. He'll probably do that again at the weekend. And with the January transfer window, which was open at the time, we thought, well, at least we got the transfer window open. We can make some signings and it's all going to be fine. We didn't sign anyone. And it kind of took a lot of Bournemouth fans by surprise. But I think the risk to them signing someone that didn't fit in is more than upsetting the harmony within the existing squad. And we've got players that have shown that they can step up, even some of the development players as well. So at the moment we've got quite an injury list, but thankfully we've got 13 or so players that are fit and ready to go, and they were the side that tore up Newcastle 4-1. They were the side that gave Liverpool a really tough match. They were the side that beat Everton 2-0 fairly convincingly at the weekend. So we've got a lot of faith with the manager and with the recruitment team at the moment. So yeah, things are all good. But in terms of injuries, we are laden with them.
That doesn't seem to be causing you any problems whatsoever. I mean, normally with an injury list like that, you probably hit a poor run of form, but that's not the case. But yeah, let's go to a score prediction for the weekend just to close out. How do you see this one ending?
Well, Southampton have got a 100% record in February in the league so far, so we're not taking it as a gimme. I think, look, I'm always quite nervy about playing Southampton because I know that it doesn't mean much to you really, but I sense that it does a little bit. Obviously not as much as like playing Pompey, and you want to sort of put us back in our box a little bit, which I can completely understand. I don't know. I do think we'll win. We'll win, but I don't think it's going to be this like procession of like football and goals and a 4-0 win. I think it'll be something like. Our defence is really good at the moment, so I'm going to say that you won't score, but I think... And we can do better than Scott Parker's Burnley, surely, because Scotty Parker, Park the Bus Parker. I think 2-0 Bournemouth, that's what I'm going for, but I think there'll be a few harem-scarum moments, for sure.
Okay, well, it's encouraging to think that you favour that score. I honestly predict a little bit worse, if I'm quite honest with you.
Really?
I see us as no particular threat, so I hope it's going to be a 2-1 Saints win. But I do fear it might be a 4-0 Bournemouth win, especially with what you guys are doing. So, but yeah,
what's the vibe there like at the moment? Is it that's it. It's gone. That's it. There's no chance at all. Or has that Ipswich result slightly given you a glimmer of hope at all? What's the deal?
I mean, will it be back-to-back wins or will it be back to business as usual? It's kind of one of those ones that's, we've seen us put in a performance. Have we seen a change under Ivan Jurek? A little, but it's a completely different shift of football. You've got going from trying to be super solid at the back and carrying on the counter-attack. And that's come all the way from, passing it around the back constantly, which there still is a little bit of that. But for our side at the moment, it almost feels like we're putting together pieces of the puzzle, but you've still got about 5 or 6 puzzles going on at the club. You've got the new style of play, you've got behind the scenes, the chairman step down and all that kind of thing. So I think the mood among the fan base is, we are getting relegated. It is happening. Are we prepared enough to do what we need to do in the Championship? We need to get everything in place so that we can hit the ground running and away we go. So, the message from the ownership has come out to say exactly that. But of course, time will tell. But there is no hope of a great escape. I think, look at the table, 9 points. Just get past that Derby record.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing, really. There we go. But Sam, thank you so much for your time. Please let the people at home know where they can find you. I'm sure they'll know already, but let us know the details.
Yeah, we're called Back of the Net. We're an AFC Bournemouth podcast and YouTube channel. So if you type in Back of the Net Bournemouth, we're on AFCB podcast on all our socials and travel home and away to all the Cherries games, documenting it, previewing it, talking about it afterwards in depth. And I'm not getting bored of it, which is really good, especially this season. So yeah, check us out. And if you want to, check out our preview, which Mike will be a little part of, because I want to know quite what has changed. We'll get a bit of information from him. Check out our channel, because that'll be on there later on.
Somehow I got to squeeze in what's wrong with Southampton into 90 seconds, but I will do my darndest for you. It might be 95, but we'll wait and see. But certainly from my perspective, it is nice to see you guys doing well. I have to be honest. It's like one of those things that, it's kind of like one-upmanship when we do play each other, and it's always nice to get the win over. But it's kind of nice to see you guys do well, which might sound a little bit strange for being fierce rivals, but there we go.
Fierce.
Sam, thank you so much. Please go over and smash the subscribe and like over on AFCB podcast, and we will see you at the weekend, and we'll actually see what's going to happen. But as always, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. All right, see ya.